Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to talk about one of the humanity's worst wars in the history of mankind. One of the most deadliest conflicts, against one of the most vicious creatures on earth. As you all know, I'm talking about the Great Emu War. One of the largest and most deadliest wars ever. And it took place in Australia, with the Australians fighting against the horrendous emus. So, how did this massive global conflict begin? Well, after World War I, the Australian government had difficulty finding employment for soldiers who returned home. And their solution was to offer money and land in the country's barren west to more than 5,000 veterans. With the onset of the Great Depression in 1929, these farmers were encouraged to increase their wheat crops, with the government promising and failing to deliver assistance in the form of subsidies. In spite of the recommendations, the crops continued to fall, and prices fell. And in October 1932, everything became a lot more intense as the farmers began to prepare the harvest. They were trying to prepare against seasonal crops, which refused to deliver wheat, so the crops already were failing. But Australia was already struggling with drought and the Great Depression. Life became even harder for Western farmers, as soon an onslaught, a horde, a terror of 20,000 emus found the cultivated lands and made them their habitat. They began to foray into farm territory, in particular the marginal farming land around Chandler and Walgaland. I don't know. The emus consumed and spoiled the crops, as well they left large gaps in fences, where rabbits could enter as well, and also cause problems. Farmers relayed their concerns about the birds ravaging, terrorizing, and plundering their crops. And a few ex-soldiers were sent to meet with the Minister of Defense, Sir George Pearce. Together, armed with machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition, a small group of soldiers descended onto the horrible emus. A battle began and raged on, but it didn't go well. On the 2nd of November, the men traveled to Campion, where some 50 emus were sighted. As the birds were at a range of the guns, the local settlers attempted to herd the emus into an ambush. But the birds were able to foresee this tactic, and they split themselves into smaller groups, so they were more difficult to catch. And they ran every direction, making them difficult to target. Nevertheless, while the first onslaught of machine gun fire was ineffective because of range, another round of gunfire was able to kill a number of birds. Later, that same day, another small flock was encountered, and then another battle raged on. An epic battle was fought, and perhaps a dozen birds were killed. Another significant event was on the 4th of November, where Meredith had established an ambush near a local dam, and more than 1,000 crafty emus were spotted heading towards their position. This time, the gunners waited until the birds were in close proximity before opening fire. However, the gun jammed after only 12 birds were killed, and the remainder were able to scatter and retreat before any more could be shot. No more birds were sighted after that day. One of the birds, Major G.P.W. Meredith, recalls that each mob, and I quote, each mob has its leader who keeps watch while his fellows busy themselves with the wheat, unquote. At one stage, Meredith even went so far as to mount one of the guns on a truck, a move that proved to be ineffective, but probably still looked pretty cool. But the truck was unable to gain on the birds, and the ride was so rough that the gunner was unable to fire any shots. The war was not looking too good, but by the 8th of November, 6 days after their first engagement, 2,500 rounds of ammunition had been fired. The number of birds killed is uncertain. One estimates that it was 50. Another range from 200 to 500. The latter figure being provided by the actual settlers. And Meredith's official report noted that his men had suffered no casualties, thankfully. These strong soldiers suffered no casualties, so we can all rest easy at night, knowing that not one of those damn emus killed one of our men. But on the 8th of November, representatives in the Australian House of Representatives discussed the operation. Following the negative coverage of the events in the local media, that included claims that only a few emus had died, Pierce withdrew the military personnel and the guns on the 8th of November. Meredith later told a local paper, and I quote, "If we had a military division with the bullet carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They could face machine gun with the invulnerability of a tank," end quote. Acting on the request in the base commander's report, by the 12th of November, the Minister of Defense approved a resumption of military efforts, and the war once again raged on. He defended the decision in the Senate, explaining why the soldiers were necessary to combat the serious threat of the large emu population. Although the military had agreed to lend the guns to the Western Australian government, the expectations that they would provide the necessary people, Meredith once again was placed in the field due to an apparent lack of experienced machine gunners in the state. Taking the battle to the field on the 13th of November, 1932, the military found a degree of success over the first 2 days. With about 40 emus killed, the third day, the 15th of November, proved to be less successful. But by the 2nd of December, the soldiers were killing around 100 emus per week, and Meredith was recalled on the 10th of December, and in his report he claimed 986 kills with 9,860 rounds, which translates to 10 rounds per each kill. In addition, Meredith claimed 2,500 wounded birds had died as a result of injuries from the machine guns. Despite the problems encountered with the call, the farmers of the region once again requested military assistance in 1934, 1943, and which were all turned down by the government. And instead, the bounty system that had been instigated in 1923 was continued, which resulted more effective as they had over 57,000 bounties fulfilled over a 6-month period in 1934. And that, my friends, is how we, as humanity, united to combat those evil birds which threatened our very existence. I salute every man who fought against those emus. I hope you all liked this video. It was a little bit more different, a little bit less serious, but I thought it'd be a little bit fun to do this kind of video. As you all know, the Great Emu War is one of Australia's greatest military success. Sure, we'll call it that. But thank you all for watching.